2021 Toyota Corolla LE. Welcome to the Auto 101. Today we're doing a pretty quick review. What do you call it? Like a seat of the pants. I hope that's a term. What I'm trying to say is we're doing a really quick review of this car because it's a rental car. I don't have it for a very long time, but we do have it in for around a day, so I thought might as well take a look at it, see what's good, see what's not, and let you guys enjoy the results. A bit of history on the Toyota Corolla. And this was a fact that actually shocked me, but it has been consistently for the last couple years the best-selling car in the world, not just in Canada or in North America or in Europe or anything, but in the world as a whole, which is a pretty crazy stat. Like, I always see them around and I know they're popular, but I never really assumed that that's how ubiquitous they are across the world. So shout out to Toyota. And what we have in here today as a rental is a 2021 LE. So the LE is one up from the base. The base is L, at least here in Canada. And the LE gives you some other little niceties, which we'll cover in the review. And I think this is the bread and butter model for the Corolla lineup. So let's take a look at it. Like, is it a good car? Who does it appeal to? And should you buy it? So let's start off with the interior. And I think when I first got into this car, I thought the interior was a bit of a mixed bag. But now that I've taken in the interior a little bit over the last day, I don't think it's a mixed bag anymore, and I'll tell you why. So let's start off with the good. I think the best thing about this interior, at least the front cabin here, is the design. I mean, look at it. It's spectacular for an economy car. You have this huge screen in the middle that dominates the entire cabin. Some people say it looks tacked on. I've mentioned it before. I love this kind of look, so I'm not a hater. I can't hate on this approach. So I like the center screen, and I like that it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And I think the fact that it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto negates the fact that the interface that Toyota has put in themselves is a little bit clunky and outdated, because let's be real, 90+% of people are just going to use either CarPlay or Android Auto anyways. And the fact that this car has it in is awesome for 90% of the people who drive this car. I mean, it's a complete game changer if you're going in from another car who doesn't have it to this car that does have it. So great job to them for putting in Apple CarPlay. The screen itself is pretty responsive, and the brightness and contrast is great. So using Apple CarPlay is not a chore, or Android Auto. It's not a chore, but it actually feels like a fun experience. It feels like using your phone on the screen in a safe way. Moving down, I really like what they've done with the center console. It all kind of points up here to this little storage area, and the look here with the gear shifter and the design of the parking brake and the little traction control buttons, it's nice. It's really sleek, really modern. I think it looks great. There's a lot of cars that are in this compact class that look like they are economy cars, and I think this car does a great job of masking that. I also enjoy the fact that this center armrest slides back and forth, which is great. And inside there you have some additional trinkets for your charging and your 12-volt outlet. And again, up here with the vents and the overall look is very clean. You have a damped glove box. Bit of a rare feature for this classic car, but that's something that you have. And overall, the sight lines and visibility are also really great. You sit pretty high up. You see you have a nice view ahead of you, lots of window space. It's great. I like it. What I thought initially were the weak points when I got into this car, which I will mention because I still do think they're weak points, are some of the material choices that Toyota has made. So the top of the dash is an injected molded plastic, so that's great. Right up here and up here is all soft touch plastic. But a couple areas that bothered me, the door panel at the top here is hard plastic. And I know for myself, and a lot of other people, they drive with their elbow up on this portion of the door. So this is hard plastic. It just wears a little bit after a while and it becomes uncomfortable. So a little bit of padding up here would have been nice. Similar story down here by my knee. It's a hard plastic piece. And when I drive, I tend to rest my knee there. Maybe it's just a me thing. But over time, it started to hurt my knee a little bit. So a little bit of padding there would have been nice as well. And lastly, the fabric choice that they've used for your armrests on the door panel and your center console armrest, it's super rough, man. Like this fabric is almost like a rug or a cardboard texture. So again, if you're driving with a t-shirt or anything with your elbows exposed, it could start scratching your elbows after a while, and that's a little bit uncomfortable too. So something softer there would have been nice. You know what, initially I thought that these were really bad things, but then when I looked at them again with the context of this being the best-selling car in the world, I started thinking about it a little bit differently. The truth of the matter is, a lot of people across the world are going to use this car for a very, very long time, given how reliable Toyotas are. So because of that, they have to make sure that these material choices can withstand everything that's thrown at them. So they can't they can't afford to put something a little bit more plush on the doors or in the middle because it won't wear as well. So then I was like, you know what, it makes sense. And for most people driving this car, they probably won't care about those things, and that's perfectly fine. So it's not that big of a deal that these things are a little bit iffy in terms of their material choices. In terms of practicality of the interior, I spoke a little bit about the visibility, but when it comes to space, both for passengers and for cargo, it's terrific. You can see in the back here that there's lots of space. I'm 5'10", and it's pretty comfortable back here. And you can see in the trunk that there's, again, a lot of space. I'll put the exact cubic feet or liters of space in the video, but it's pretty spacious. It's a spacious place to be in. Now, outside styling. For a car that is as mainstream as this, I think the choices that Toyota has done to add a little bit of spice and a little bit of flair to the overall design have paid off well. It's not an earth-shattering design. It's not super controversial like some other Toyotas. It's not super conservative like some other economy cars tend to be. So I think they've done a good job. I mean, it has a good stance. The front end looks particularly aggressive to me. The back end, I think, looks a little tall. But overall, it's still a pretty stylish and cool looking car on the road, and I think that's what people would care about when it comes to the outside styling of this car. The driving experience. I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've driven a Toyota, and I forgot about how soft some of their mainstream models are. In terms of everything, steering input, suspension, ride quality, how quiet it is inside. But when I came into it, it was honestly really refreshing. It's not an enthusiast vehicle. It definitely handles better than previous Corollas that I've driven, but it's still by no means an enthusiast, performance-oriented car. If that's what you want, then maybe something like a Mazda 3 or Honda Civic would be better off in this segment. But again, best-selling car in the world, right? So for 90% of people, I think this car delivers exactly what they're looking for. A to B transportation that's super comfortable, and that's exactly what the ride and handling characteristics, I think, deliver. You have a really simple, easy to use car. I think this must be one of the easiest cars I've driven ever. The older Toyotas were a little bit floaty, so that could be a little bit disconcerting at times, but this has reduced a lot of that floatiness, but kept all of the plushness and the super light steering, super light suspension. So that has made it just a really, really easy car to drive. So I think from a handling ride perspective, they've really hit the nail on the head in terms of what this car wanted to deliver. Powertrain, nothing earth-shattering to write home about. This car has a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder with a CVT. I want to say somewhere in the 130s horsepower, 139, 130 foot-pounds of torque. A little bit on the low end for this segment and where this segment stands right now. But it's weird because every time I'm doing this quick review, I keep coming back to the fact that it's the best-selling car in the world. And when I think of the usage scenarios for 90% of people, those power figures are perfectly adequate, and the fuel economy figures are stellar. They're fantastic. And let's be honest, people who aren't enthusiasts obviously rightfully care more about fuel economy than outright performance. So shout out to Toyota for doing a great job at that. I mean, I'll put a little screen clip here of what people are seeing in terms of fuel economy, and you'll see that it's fantastic. For people who do want a little bit more power, the SE and XSE models have a 2-liter that ups the power, and it also has a different CVT that actually has a first gear. So it has a first gear and then it becomes a CVT. So you get better pull off the line. So that's pretty cool. And that also has a 6-speed manual transmission. And you'll find that in the S and XSE. While we're on the topic of the powertrain, let's also talk about the active safety features in this car. So this car comes with Toyota Safety Sense, and that includes automatic forward collision detection, lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise. Those 3 technologies in themselves are a game changer for someone who hasn't experienced them before. And the fact that Toyota includes them standard in this model, that's hype. Thank you, Toyota, for doing that, because I think that really puts this car over and above competitors who don't offer that. So to conclude on this car, I think the biggest thing that was my takeaway was the fact that this was the best-selling car in the world. I said that at the beginning, and I'll say that now. And to think about what that means, it means that they want to make a car that appeals to as many people as possible. And I think this car does a really good job at doing that. It's comfortable, it's spacious, plenty of room for carrying your friends and family and all their cargo. It has all the technology you need, both in terms of the infotainment and the active safety features. It has a stylish look inside and out, great fuel economy, and paired with Toyota's excellent reliability, there's really no going wrong with this car. If you are someone who wants the ultimate A to B car that'll be super reliable for you every time you get in and deliver a great experience, then this is the one to get.